Hi again, Mark here from TalkingBass.net. This week I'm going to be showing you a cool little technique for playing super fast slap licks in the style of people like Victor Wooten. So the lick that we're eventually going to be learning sounds like this. If you're a beginner to slapping, then I'd strongly advise you to work through some of my other slap videos that take you from the basics through to the more advanced slap fills. I'll be playing pretty quick, so if you're new to this technique, it might be a bit too much. If you've been playing slap for a while, then give it a try and see how you do. The mechanics of the technique, they're pretty easy really. It's just building up the speed that you need to work on. So let's start with a look at the basics of this technique. Now the lick itself all boils down to a simple set of 4 movements, and that'll be the same no matter where we move this thing around. This set of physical mechanics is always going to be the same. So we'll start out with a very simple line that sounds like this. Okay, so this really outlines that movement. So we begin with an open string. So the lick always begins with an open string. So we'll take the open A, okay? So you slap the open A string. Then we have a hammer on. So we're going to hammer on with the first finger at the D. So that's the 5th fret of the A string. So we have open A string, hammer on to the 5th fret of the A string. Simple. Then we slap the note that we've just hammered. So we have open A string, hammer on the D, slap the D. So very, very slowly. And that's it. And as you build up speed on that, so you can hear how it begins to sound a little bit more percussive as we build up speed. So lastly, we just add a pop in there. So for this, we're going to play the octave pattern for that D. So to begin with on the whole lick, we want to be in position. So if you get your hand in that octave pattern to begin with, so first finger at the 5th fret of the A string, the D, and then the 4th finger at the 7th fret of the G string at the D, we've got that octave pattern ready so that then when we play the open A string, we just lift that first finger up. So we're in position all the time with the octave. So open A, hammer on the D, slap the D, pop the top D. That's the whole lick. So that's the 4 movements, and that'll be the same throughout all of these different licks. So open string, hammer on, slap, pop. Open string, hammer on, slap, pop. It's always that set of 4 movements. So that's the lick. So let's start really slow and then just build up speed. And then try to keep it consistent. There's a consistent flow of 16th notes or eventually 32nd notes. So and then just build up speed. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for. So, when you hear the eventual line, it sounds like this fast flurry of notes, but in fact the hands aren't really doing that much at all. It's all just the coordination between the hands. It's all in the fact that we've got this open string, then the hammer on, then the slap, then the pop. It's, there's not really that much going on with any one thing, like the thumb. The thumb's not doing that much. The pop's not doing much. This hand's not doing much. It's just when you put it all together. So that's the movement. So just practice that, and like I say, start really slow. If you start to speed up and it starts to get messy, slow back down. It'll come. As you start incredibly slow, it'll seem really boring staying at that speed. But as long as you can get that coordination up, once you start to find the speed working and the coordination, when you can retain the coordination as you start building up speed, eventually what will happen is that it suddenly starts working and you suddenly build up speed, and then you can just go as fast as you want. But that won't happen if you try rushing it. So you have to start slow and just keep going round and round it slow. Keep doing that, build up a bit of speed. If it gets messy, slow back down. Again, slow back down if it gets messy, da 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 da, round and round and round. In terms of the notes that we're playing, the octave is the most important part of this. The open string is kind of irrelevant, as you'll see later on. Really, the notes that we're looking at are the notes on the fretboard, you know, the octave pattern, in this case, the octave pattern. So now let's try moving that around a little. So what we're going to do is play the D octave, then move to the B octave, then to the C octave, then to the C sharp octave. And then we're back to D, and then it just goes round and round. So if we didn't have the open string in there, we'd have this kind of line. So we've got that stereotypical disco kind of line. So it's D, B, C, C sharp, D, B, C, C sharp. And when we add the open string in there and the hammer on and all that stuff that we were just doing, we get this. Okay, so again, let's start really slowly, just hear how that sounds, and then I'll build up speed. A little quicker. Now, a bit faster. Okay? One thing you might have noticed with this lick is that I'm cutting the pop short. Okay, so that note there on the G string, I'm cutting it short. So I'm not playing this, I'm not holding it, I'm just cutting it short. And to do that, I'm just releasing pressure on that G string. So it's almost like I'm kind of stabbing at the G string with the fourth finger. You know, just pushing down the... I'm not releasing the finger off the string, it's just, you know, stabbing at it when I play it. So... Okay, so just practice that as well, just to give it more of that percussive kind of sound. Once you've got the hang of moving this octave pattern around, we can just try moving all around the neck. So first of all, let's just try working down the A string. So we'll just work down chromatically. So we'll start at the 12th fret. Okay, so we play the open string, hammer on the A, you know, slap and pop, just as we did before, and then just work down one fret at a time. Okay, so you just... And again, I'm cutting those pops short as I come down. So it gets you used to moving that octave pattern around. So slowly. Full speed. Once you've mastered moving down the string in that way, you can try applying it to scales, okay? So we could try coming down the A major scale. So to do that, we just work down those notes of the A major scale from the top. So if we take that A there, 12th fret of the A string obviously, work down, then we've got the G sharp, 11th fret, then down to the F sharp there at the 9th fret, then down to the E at the 7th fret, then down to the D at the 5th fret, C sharp, 4th fret, B, 2nd fret, and then down to the A. So with the octaves, slowly, we have... So that's the A major scale just coming down. A, G sharp, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, B, A. Up to speed. So far, I've only stuck to a key of A major or D major, so they're keys that include that A, you know, that we've been using on the open string. So, you know, they don't sound too out there. But once you've built up the speed, the open string doesn't really matter because it passes by so quickly. So now let's try playing in a completely different key that clashes with the A major. So we'll try A flat major, okay? So we start on the A flat, then we'll try the G, and then the F, and then back. So we're starting on the A there, 11th fret, A flat, which is the 11th fret of the A string, then the octave, then the G at the 10th fret, then the F at the 8th fret, and then back up. So the A that we're playing, the open A string, is completely out of that key, you know, A and A flat, big clash. But because when we play it fast, it's moving by so quickly, the ear doesn't have time to register it, so we can kind of use whatever we want. So through that line. So slow, it sounds kind of odd and a little bit dissonant melodically. So up to speed. Okay, so you can't hear that, the open A in there. It goes by so fast, almost like a ghost note. So the notes that we hear are if I played it slow, doesn't sound right. Fast. And that's an important thing to remember, because that's how we're going to work in different keys. Because you don't always have to stick in the key of A or D. You can move into any key you want and use the open strings just to create these lines, okay? Now, we don't have to be only limited to octave patterns. We can use any pattern that uses that same sequence of open string, hammer on, slap, pop. So any kind of interval that we can where we can use that sequence. So let's try some thirds, okay? So we'll begin with the simple third pattern up here at the D. So we're going to play the open D string, so slap the open D, then I want you to hammer on at the 12th fret of the D string, so the D, slap that D, and then pop the F sharp, the 11th fret of the G string. So we've got a little major third pattern there. So we've got second finger taking the D at the 12th fret of the D string, and the first finger taking the F sharp at the 11th fret of the G string. So a little major third pattern there. So that pattern there is the one that we want to be looking at, okay? Because as we move down, we're going to go through several different minor and major third patterns. So first of all, let's just try getting that, that lick down. So that's the first one. Okay, so again, start slow. And this one will feel a little different from the octaves because we're in a more confined area. Okay, now let's try working down the D major scale in thirds. Okay, so we're going to begin on the D, like we just played. And instead of going through every single note with this, to save time, I'll just describe the major or minor third pattern that we're going to be using. Now, all of this is available in the lesson material, available to download from TalkingBass.net. So if you're on YouTube, just follow the link in the info below. And if you're at TalkingBass.net, just click on that big download button that's just below the video. So all of this is in there. So let's just work down through it. So we've got major third pattern at the D. Next we move down a half step down to the C sharp, play a minor third pattern. So that's the minor third pattern. So it's like the major third pattern, but the top note's down a fret. Then we come down a whole step down to the B, minor third. Then down a whole step again and play a major third. So that's on the A. Then we come down another whole step down to the G, major third. Then down a half step down to the F sharp, minor third, then down to the E, another whole step, minor third, and then we're down to the D. Okay, so read through the sheet music with this in the tab, and you'll be fine. So, slowly. So once you've got that line under your fingers, just build up speed slowly. So again, a little bit quicker. Little quicker. And full speed. So now that you've played through those different lines, you should be ready to then work on the original lick that I played at the beginning of the lesson. And I'll just play through it slowly, and you should be able to see how this relates to all the other lines that we've played, because it's exactly the same kind of mechanical sequence. So, so here it is slow. Okay, so you can see how we still have that same open string, hammer on, slap, pop going on. So now I'll just work through each of the notes, and like I say, it's a lot quicker if you actually look through the tab or the sheet music, because you're able to see this, you know, laid out in front of you rather than just listening to me waffle on through all the notes. So I'll just work through in terms of the intervals. So this is in G major, okay, but we're starting on a D, so it's kind of working down kind of Mixolydian kind of style. But we start on a D and play that major third pattern. So this is just like the last lick that we played. Then we move down onto the A string, and we play open A, hammer on at the A, slap, and then pop that same note. We keep the note held down on the G string, keep that F sharp up there. Okay, so slowly. So the hammer-ons are going on the same frets there, and I'm just moving on to a different string. Okay, so that's the beginning. Then we move down a whole step and play the same pattern, but this time we move up. So we start on the A string and then come up onto the D string. So starting from the beginning, we go down D string, A string, and then we come up A string, D string, but with the same pattern a whole step below. Okay, then we move down a half step and we play the minor third pattern at the B, and then again we move just down onto the A string, same fret again. So it's the same system, it's the same pattern that we're moving down, but this time we're on a minor third. Then we move down a whole step, we come up. So we've got the minor sixth and minor third. So all together from the beginning. Then we come down to the G, so we come down a whole step. So we've got that major third pattern, then the major sixth. So all together. Now we come down for the final one, so we have that G there up to the A at the top. And then we have the F sharp there, so that's a minor third pattern. So this one's the only one that's a little bit odd, because we're not playing the same pattern on both strings. We have the hammer onto the G there at the third fret, and the pop at the A at the second fret up on the top, and then, so that's with the second finger, and then we have the F sharp. So we have to play the G with the second finger, and then the F sharp with the third finger. So the hammer-ons are going on two different fingers, and then we can play the G there down on the third fret of the E string just to finish, or anything really at the end, just any kind of G that you want. So all together slowly. At the end there, I'm playing the G, the third fret of the E string, popping the G octave there, so fifth fret of the D string, and then just playing the B at the top, the fourth fret of the G string. Okay? Just to give me that major chord. Okay? So once you've got those notes under your fingers and the patterns, which will take a while, you know, getting all those down, but once you do, just start building up speed slowly, okay? So we'll start slow and then just build up. Okay, a little faster. And a bit faster. You'll find that when you get into the really fast speeds with this, you start to put the arm into it a little bit more. You know, when you first start playing slapping, the stereotypical way to teach is to, you know, keep the wrists supple, and you know, it's all in the wrist and the thumb there. But you know, as you start getting up the speed with this, you'll see people on YouTube like Federico Malaman just really flying with this stuff, and they really put their arm into it. You know, there's more coming from there, just to give you a bit more power and a bit more, you know, well, I don't know, just a bit more body to the lick. So, you know, so. So I hope that helps with adding another technique into your slap toolbox. If you've not been over to TalkingBass.net, then check that out. There's a ton of different lessons, courses and resources over there for you to get your teeth into, and I'm adding stuff all the time. Please like this video if it's helped, and subscribe to TalkingBass.net for free to gain access to loads of exclusive content. So go check it out. Okay, see you later.